And Russian forces are fighting to take over Ukraine's biggest cities. But so far, Ukrainian troops have held them off. The much smaller force has been able to hold their cities, and now both countries are talking for the first time since the invasion. So Charlie Daggett is joining me now from Kyiv. Charlie, thanks so much for joining us. I got to tell you, Charlie, a few days ago, I was fearful of what would happen and how quickly Kyiv would fall, and it hasn't. And then in some early reports I was listening to this morning, I heard that supermarkets have opened up a little in order for people to kind of get the things that they need. So I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but tell me what it's like there now.
Yeah, well, Anne-Marie, you and I discussed it, sort of Friday and later on Saturday, that the capital itself might fall. Russian forces had advanced to an important military airstrip just north of the capital. Ukrainian forces had it surrounded, according to the Ukrainian military, and brought an end to that. They still are trying to encircle the city. There have been a number of explosions. In fact, in the past sort of 5 minutes or so, they're off in the distance, but very loud explosions are happening. So the fighting is still raging, and there have been artillery strikes overnight. The air raid sirens are going off. But the past 24 hours being here in the capital are nothing like the previous 24 hours, the previous 48 hours before that. And as you said, we have been in a lockdown. The entire city is in a lockdown or a curfew from 5 o'clock on Saturday night until this morning at 8 o'clock. And we weren't really sure that we would be able to go out. But then city officials issued this announcement saying, okay, residents can go out onto the streets only in an emergency situation. They said that there is fighting in several districts throughout the city. So it remains a dangerous place. It remains an active conflict zone. So and only if you need to go out in case of an emergency. But we went to a grocery store, a huge grocery store, and there was a line that stretched for blocks and blocks and blocks. And when we asked them, say, why did you have to come out? Well, a couple of reasons. They hadn't really prepared for this. Residents here in Kyiv weren't expecting a full assault on the capital. And then the lockdown took place. So people were buying groceries. But I have to tell you, it was not panic buying. People were not stocking up. I mean, they weren't stockpiling food. And when I asked a couple of people in line, I said, what happens if we run out of food here in the capital? One woman said, well, just share it. So that's the attitude here in Kyiv itself. They're not just grabbing everything. There's plenty of food to go around. I mean, all the bread was gone, certain staples were gone, but everything else, everybody was very orderly. There's no panic. A lot of people had just come out from bomb shelters in order to avoid the explosions. They're really hopeful. I mean, genuinely hopeful. They believe or want to believe that these peace talks that are currently underway, I don't know if you want to call it peace talks, crisis talks that are underway, may lead to something that will change or at least avert the crisis here. Now, when I say the fighting hasn't been as bad here, it's a different story in Kharkiv to the east, where Russian forces have continually tried to enter that city. And for the most part, Ukrainian forces and civilians alike have been able to fend them off and keep them away from taking the capital, or from taking that city.
You sort of touched on a question that I was going to ask you, and so I'm going to sort of ask you to expand on that. You said that they are hopeful that these crisis talks will result in something positive. Why are they hopeful?
Well, because in a conflict zone, sometimes all we have is hope. So they want to hope that it's going to end. They're terrified. It's really scary when these explosions take place. And they know full well that although they have the greatest amount of respect and gratitude for Ukrainian forces who seem to have kept the Russians at bay until now, they also know that they haven't seen the full might of the Russian military. There are tens of thousands of soldiers that could get into the city. They have superior air power. They've got any number of options to make things very, very difficult and extremely dangerous here. So any glimmer of hope that there might be some progress obviously is going to be embraced. However, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he's not really hopeful of an outcome. He's skeptical, but he said anything that might lead to peace, Ukraine must take part in. And I mean, their opening salvo is the first thing they're going to ask for is an immediate ceasefire.
look, talking is better than not talking. That's what I actually had been saying leading up to this whole thing. So who knows? Before I let you go, though, let's talk about the resiliency and how successful the Ukrainian troops have been when it comes to keeping Russian forces at bay, at least when it comes to Kyiv. I read this morning, though, that there may be a possibility that Belarus may get involved. And that made me really concerned. I thought, they're doing a good job with the Russian troops, but if Belarus gets involved, I mean, what will happen then? And so my question to you is, are the Ukrainian forces getting the reinforcements that they need?
They are getting reinforcements. They would want to get them here more quickly. The Ukrainian military said today what we need is Stinger missiles to take down aircraft. They want specific and advanced weapons, Stinger missiles to take down aircraft and anti-tank weapons. There have been pledges from the United States, as you're well aware, the United Kingdom, Sweden, other areas around here, all piling in terms of supplies and financial aid to help out the Ukrainians. I think they realize, they know they're outnumbered and they know that they're outgunned, so they can hold off the Russian advance for a certain amount of time. But eventually they're going to need more weaponry, and really they're going to need more troops. And when it comes to that, people are stepping up. We reported it a couple days ago where they stopped men of fighting age, and fighting age here means between 18 and 60. They stopped men from leaving the country. And when we spoke to people over the weekend, people were stepping forward. Thousands of them were stepping forward. They handed out something like 18,000 guns, weapons and guns to the men who want to step up and fight. You may have seen these images, extraordinary images of sort of almost Molotov cocktail parties or gatherings to make these Molotov cocktails. And they're being put to use. We saw it in Kharkiv, where citizens actually have been engaging, chucking these Molotov cocktails at Russian forces. So, it's a question of keeping the enemy at the gates. It's a question of for how long. And really, the driving question is how much Russia intends to throw at it.
If there's anything that we're seeing right now is that, yes, your weaponry is important, but the heart that the Ukrainian people are displaying right now is the reinforcement that is helping them, tackle this larger, stronger, better equipped enemy. It is unbelievably impressive. Charlie, thank you so much.